everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Daria Kucherova with the Ott Law Firm, and today I'm going to talk to you about the recent and ongoing buzz with the hotshot lawsuit between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. Now, those of you who may have been following this lawsuit, this really not really news to you until some recent developments, but those of you who are not as in tune with the social culture of this lawsuit particular, I'll go into details from really the very beginning of it all. So for the sake of brevity, the outline would be just going into the context and kind of the politics of these lawsuits and the background, and then we're going to go into what's been really the meat of the lawsuits and what's been going on. So to start with, this all happened because of one book, one movie. It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. It's a pretty popular book and it was turned into a movie recently. It was a hit and it was directed and starred by Justin Baldoni, and then his co-star is Blake Lively. Now, this movie does cover, and book in general, does cover a lot of themes of domestic violence, domestic abuse, and Justin's vision with it was to primarily give voice to women who have experienced these negative emotions and relationships and just been negatively impacted by. So he's really into giving voice to the victims and showing that truth. And Lively was more than excited to be working with it, and Colleen was also there, supervising and participating in the process. Now, when the movie aired and premiered, there was a lot of things that started happening, starting with the promotional campaign that Blake Lively was a part of. Now, a lot of it appear to be, as social media covers it, as insensitive, tone deaf, because apparently Blake Lively was promoting either her personal products during the promotional campaign. Some of you may know one of the quotes of "wear your florals to the movies," and a lot of people expressed that it was just very wrong of her to say that because of the nature of the movie. Now, with some dead air in between, suddenly there was this explosion of allegations that made up Blake Lively's lawsuit. Now, she started with saying that Justin Baldoni was actually involved in numerous sexual harassment matters against her. She experienced discomfort when she was filming movies with him, and even after clocking out of the scenes. She experienced harassment, just uncomfortable behavior, comments. And for those of you who might be familiar with the sorts of evidence that Blake Lively brought forward, it was sort of things like Justin sending her some text messages in the middle of the night, or him saying that she smelled very good when she may have spoken about some scent she was wearing. Later, and this is kind of jumping forward, but later there's more allegations popping out about other stars on the scene, saying that they perceived Justin whispering something to Lively and also additionally touching her in a way or overstepping boundaries. Now that was communicated along the lines of that Blake Lively was asked to promote by the marketing team in a certain way. So she is saying that she was really kind of forced into these situations. Now, that transpired further as Justin stepped up and he slammed back for a whole defamation lawsuit, saying that Blake Lively is just starting a smear campaign against him. And she's saying things that are potentially and probably and most likely will ruin his entire career, and also Wayfair, who is also the owner of the movie. Now, kind of give you a few details in between, because now, we're going to move into the allegations. So I told you about what Blake Lively is alleging. Majority of it is being a victim of sexual harassment from Justin Baldoni. Now, Justin Baldoni expands it. And he says, no such thing happened. I have evidence. And contrary to what Blake Lively has submitted with text messages and voice calls, Justin Baldoni promised, and this is before he released all the evidence publicly. So Justin is saying, no, that's not happening. Also, you and your husband, now this is me talking about Ryan Reynolds, are involved not only in a smear campaign against me, Justin Baldoni, but also you're trying to ruin my career, ruin Wayfair, trying to completely sabotage our movie, and overall just take all the credit for what's been happening. So in his lawsuit, on top of calling for defamation and also asking for $400 million in damages and compensation, Justin is saying that Lively and Ryan Reynolds took over the entire movie scene. And this also, if you're familiar, this kind of, when the movie was still going on, there were the strikes that happened, and the writers refused to go to work because they wanted, fair representation and payment. So when that was over, Lively allegedly asked Justin these very strict things that she wanted to be performed, otherwise she wouldn't come on set again. And Justin, in his lawsuit, is alleging that not only that her and her husband suddenly became the leaders of the entire movie that was supposed to be his own and supposed to belong to Wayfair, but they also continued to harass him and threaten him, where Ryan Reynolds apparently said that he has so much power that he would be able to completely bury Justin alive and end his career. Now, while that's happening, let's talk about the politics of it all, because the press is very heavily involved. So while these lawsuits, obviously defamation is pretty huge in Hollywood. I mean, if you can recall Amber Heard and Johnny Depp that just settled a year ago or so, that was kind of in the same caliber as going on here. Now, allegations in that lawsuit we're not going to go over. It's well and done, and we know the result. Here, it's getting a bit complicated with a different animal. Yes, we're talking about sexual harassment on one side, defamation on the other, on top of sabotaging a whole movie scene and ending careers and threats. Now, all of this is happening on media, social media, press, YouTube. I mean, any kind of social media you go to or newsletter, people are talking about it. There's different views, different biases, different interpretations even of the lawsuits that have been posted online. They're publicly available. Now, they are over 200 pages long, and there are amended complaints that have been posted as well that keep adding on pages. So it's a lot to read, but there are wonderful people out there that have read the lawsuits for every detail, and they have put out some video essays that are very engaging. Now, why do I keep stressing the media involvement is, and this is quoting one of the recent comments, one of the judges on this lawsuit said of trying to limit this lawsuit being litigated on press. Because the thing with these lawsuits is that when Lively started saying, you need to take your lawsuit down, Baldoni was like, no, I am going to publicly reveal everything if you keep saying these false things about me. And so later you will be able to access, if you haven't already, a website where Baldoni has posted not only his amended complaint in the first link, but the second, it's pages and pages of text message screenshots, just details, little details, directly contradicting or supporting of what's been said in the first lawsuit. Now, that is happening all over the internet, and kind of like the danger of that is people obviously are digging into it and they're trying to do things with it. I am aware that Blake Lively may have asked for not only she did ask for a protective order to stop Baldoni from posting this website, which obviously did not happen. But now they're trying to suppress a lot of these, branches of information from maybe some channels, maybe some other sources that are not involved in a lawsuit directly, but are reporting on it. Because, with lawsuits like this, especially as loud as they are on social media, which can be really good for many reasons, one of them being other people will come forward. And as they have. Recently, and this is now the update part of this video, is that now recently Blake Lively has posted an amended complaint that adds around 50, maybe precisely 48 pages of allegations that now go into other people being present on that set that say, will confirm and are ready to testify at trial that Justin Baldoni indeed made them uncomfortable as well, may have sexually harassed them as well. And once again, just to reiterate, allegedly. And so that is being added on, and that is now where we are kind of cut off, because the next step with these lawsuits is the discovery process. Now, discovery, for those of you who are not familiar with the term, it's basically, to put it simply, it's an open world of getting documents and information from either side that may not be protected by attorney-client privilege or doctor-patient privilege, depending on how it's applicable. So most of the time, and as already shown by these public evidence postings, is that all text messages, all videos, communications, emails, anything that is relevant to the lawsuit will be and can be discoverable. Now, I'm aware that Lively sent a few subpoenas for phone carriers to discover phone calls, logs, and everything of that nature from Justin Baldoni, which he's opposing, because he's saying that might reveal a lot of sensitive information with people who are not involved with this lawsuit at all. It might expose his family and friends and other people to a scrutiny of an eye who should not even be looking there. Now, at the same time, there's a bunch of depositions that need to be done, and these are legal interviews where on the record, both sides have their attorneys present, and then the person who is a witness is going to receive a bunch of questions they can talk about that are involved with the case. So we are waiting for this discovery process to happen. It takes a while. Because both sides are going to be saying no, and there's just a lot. I'm sure there's a big volume of information on top of what we are aware of now that will be discoverable on both sides. Now, to kind of wrap up with my own personal thoughts as both somebody who has been following this lawsuit closely out of self-interest, but also as an attorney myself, I have a couple things I want to say. Firstly, with defamation lawsuits in general, they are dangerous, because with defamation, to say that somebody is making these statements, publishing statements about you that are damaging to your reputation, are important to explore in general, because one word, one wrong text, one video can completely destroy your life and take away your opportunity to be employable, to be personable with people. That is definitely something that should be taken seriously at all times. Now, of course, both sides are subject to ridicule in this case because they are celebrities. In the real world, defamation lawsuit could potentially be big, but not as big as the celebrity status. But, that does not mean that they're less impactful. Like I said, they're super important to pay attention to. Now, what concerns me about these lawsuits, especially on Blake Lively's side, is kind of the precedent and the narrative that might be further offered if Blake Lively suffers a loss. Now, of course, at the end of the day, this lawsuit, we're just waiting for the trial, because that's really what we should care about, is what the jury is going to bring forward as a verdict. The jury is going to look at all the evidence, and as unbiased as they can be, even though I'm sure a lot of them will recognize these faces, as Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds especially, now the jury just has to decide what's going on. So the in-between right now is more or less a distraction and somewhat a call for coming forward with maybe more information, whoever is involved with these people. Now, to bring it back to my point earlier, in terms of just Blake Lively potentially losing, I'm not saying she will, potentially losing, the precedent is really just for the victims who have truly suffered through sexual harassment and discrimination of that kind, and may have been victims in places that are either dominated by a certain demographic or just in general. Because if this lawsuit turns out to be frivolous, as Justin Baldoni is alleging, that would negatively impact the narrative of other victims that want to come forward. Maybe it will deter them from wanting to come forward because they will see that this bigger celebrity has lost because she has either she made things up or maybe something just didn't work out and she suffered a loss. That would potentially deviate them from wanting to come forward because they see, well, this is useless. Now, should that be something that should be considered? No. Anybody who has suffered through these traumatic events, more or less, should come forward and try to get justice for themselves. Now, on the other side, if Justin Baldoni suffers a loss, that would be a great win, of course, for Blake Lively, but it would also kind of add up on him in terms of directors, smaller directors wanting to bring forward content and work with bigger stars and kind of being afraid to collaborate and open a space up because at any point somebody could accuse somebody else of these truly dangerous things and very important things and end up in a billion-dollar lawsuit that they could potentially lose. So a lot of these maybe perhaps smaller celebrities, smaller creators, even independent creators would be deterred from further collaboration that could potentially unfold their career even more. So overall, I think there's just a lot to think about, and defamation is really something not you want to joke about, but also is a powerful tool to bring in justice, especially to people who think they are invincible. And on the invincible side, I'm kind of meaning both. More or less Blake Lively's side, because Ryan Reynolds has made multiple statements about, taking people down and stuff like that, but also kind of on the Justin Baldoni side about how their legal team has also publicly made statements about suing Blake Lively to hell or something to that effect. My last comment about it is just from the professional standpoint. I think the less media presence is the better because media has ways to screw around and find out. Essentially, so keeping it kind of more contained is best. Now, I also realize that is not possible when you are representing a big shot celebrity, but that is just a footnote opinion on that regard. And I think that is all for now. Like I said, we're just waiting for the discovery process, but at the end of the day, we just want that trial to happen so we can sit back, relax, and see what the attorneys do, see what the witnesses do, and at the end of the day, what the jury decides. So thank you again for sticking around. I appreciate your ear and eye, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.